In 1802, Napoleon Bonaparte stood at the height of his power. He had crushed armies across Europe, humiliated emperors, redrawn the map of nations. But there were men he could not defeat. Not in the frozen steppes of Russia, not in the fields of Waterloo, but in a Caribbean island where former slaves would become his greatest nightmare. This is the story Napoleon tried to erase from history. The story of the black generals who brought an empire to its knees. The year is 1789. The place, Saint-Domingue, France's crown jewel in the Caribbean. This single island produced more wealth than all 13 American colonies combined. 40% of Europe's sugar, 60% of its coffee. A fortune built on the backs of 500,000 enslaved Africans. The conditions were beyond imagination. The average enslaved person survived just 3 years after arrival. They were worked to death and simply replaced. To the French colonists, these were not people. They were machinery, livestock, numbers on a ledger. They could not have been more wrong. August 14, 1791. A night that would change the world. Deep in the northern mountains, hundreds gathered at a place called Bois Caïman. A Vaudou priestess named Cécile Fatiman presided. A man named Dutty Boukman, a towering, literate enslaved driver, spoke words that became a battle cry. What he said that night has been lost to history. But what happened next has not. 8 days later, the northern plain of Saint-Domingue erupted. In a single night, 1,000 plantations burned. Within weeks, 10,000 white colonists were dead. The Haitian Revolution had begun. The largest and most successful slave uprising in human history. From the chaos emerged leaders, men whose names would haunt Napoleon to his dying breath. Toussaint Louverture, born enslaved, self-educated in secret, a healer of horses who became the healer of a nation. He spoke French, Latin, and multiple African languages. He read Caesar, Alexander, and Machiavelli. He didn't just fight the French. He outsmarted them, Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Where Toussaint was surgical, Dessalines was savage, and for good reason. The scars covering his body told the story of a brutality he would never forgive. He fought with a fury that terrified even seasoned generals. Henri Christophe, born enslaved in Grenada, former hotel worker. He would become a king and build the greatest fortress the Americas had ever seen. Together, these 3 men would do what no one believed possible. By 1801, Toussaint Louverture had done the unthinkable. He had conquered the entire island, abolished slavery, written a constitution, and sent it to Napoleon without asking permission. The message was clear. Saint-Domingue was free. Napoleon's response was equally clear. He assembled the largest naval expedition France had ever launched. 50,000 soldiers, 86 warships, commanded by his own brother-in-law, Charles Leclerc. His orders were chilling in their simplicity: crush the rebellion, restore slavery, and eliminate the black generals. What Napoleon didn't know was that he was sending his men to die. The French arrived confident. They were veterans of European conquest. But this was no European war. Dessalines pioneered scorched earth tactics. He burned crops, poisoned wells, and vanished into mountains the French couldn't navigate. Every road became an ambush, every forest a tomb. And then came yellow fever. The mosquitoes killed more French soldiers than any bullet. Men died so fast they couldn't be buried. Within months, 17,000 French soldiers were dead, including Leclerc himself. Napoleon sent reinforcements. They died too. In total, he would lose over 50,000 men, more than he would later lose in his invasion of Russia. But the French had one victory. Through treachery, they captured Toussaint Louverture. They promised him peace. Instead, they threw him in a freezing dungeon in the French Alps. He would never see Haiti again. In that frozen cell, Toussaint spoke his final prophecy. In overthrowing me, you have done no more than cut down the trunk of the tree of black liberty in Saint-Domingue. It will spring back from the roots, for they are numerous and deep. He died on April 7, 1803, alone forgotten, but his words came true. Dessalines led the final campaign. On November 18, 1803, at the Battle of Vertières, the last French forces surrendered, and on January 1, 1804, before a crowd of his generals and soldiers, Dessalines ripped the white from the French tricolor and declared the birth of Haiti. The first free black republic in history, the second independent nation in the Western Hemisphere. The name meant land of mountains, but to the world it meant something else entirely. It meant the enslaved could win. Napoleon never recovered. The loss of Haiti cost him his Western Empire. He sold Louisiana to the United States, 800,000 square miles, for less than 3 cents an acre. The largest land deal in history, made possible because black generals broke his will. On his deathbed, Napoleon was asked about his greatest regret. Some historians believe he whispered, Saint-Domingue. Henri Christophe built the Citadelle La Ferrière, the largest fortress in the Americas, to ensure no European power would ever enslave his people again. It still stands today, a monument to defiance. Dessalines was assassinated in 1806, but before he died, he enshrined in Haiti's constitution that no white person could ever own property on Haitian soil. These men were not perfect. They were brutal, complex, and forged in a brutality they did not choose. But they did what every enslaved person dreamed of. They fought, they won, and they haunted the most powerful man in the world. History tried to bury them, but roots, as Toussaint said, run deep. Their names were Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, and Henri Christophe, and they changed the world.